Recently, the channel passed the 250,000 subscriber mark. Now, obviously, I am delighted and thoroughly appreciative to all of you for watching. I thought to commemorate the occasion, I'll do a Q&A, as I've not done one for a long time and many of you have started watching since then. So here I am, answering questions submitted by you. Hi everyone, and thank you very much for joining me for this special where today I'll be answering your questions. I posted a link last week that all of you could submit a question and I received over 500 responses, so thank you for that. Extraordinary response, it really was. I'll be answering a random selection of these, as many as I can, but please don't be disappointed if I can't do yours. Right, here we go. I did ask for you all to submit your name with the questions. Some of you have not done that, but that's fine as well. So without further ado, let's get this going. First question comes from Anonymous. Do you ever get sick of talking to or dealing with so many idiots? Or is it just fuel for the fire, so to speak? Or maybe just amusing? Yeah, that's actually a good question. I don't get sick of it per se, but there can be occasions where it gets a little bit tedious going over the same argument. There's a very small selection of arguments from flat earthers, and it seems like now I'm at the point where I'm going over old ground that we've gone over before, which is fine because sometimes obviously not everyone watches all of the videos, and you kind of need to drum it into the flat earthers for them to have any chance of getting it. So yeah, that way yes, but in other ways no, I don't get very bored too quickly. Okay, next up is another anonymous one. Do you feel this platform has given you more friends or enemies? Enemies being YouTubers who make videos speaking out against you. I think overall it's probably given me more friends. I mean, there's a fantastic community out there of people that do what I do, the flat earth debunking community. And I'd like to think friends with a lot of those. Acquaintances for sure, but friends with some. In terms of the enemies, there's probably a lot of those as well, but I don't really know those enemies. There's a couple who probably I could name right now that definitely would consider themselves an enemy. But I'm not bothered about them. I'm just bothered about the people that I've met. The really nice people that I've met through starting this, so yeah. Next question comes from Louis Richards, who asks, what would you rather? 1, your children grow up to be flat earthers, or 2, your children grow up to be bank robbers? Cheers, Louis Richards. Oh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. On the whole, being a flat earther probably won't get you in too much trouble with the law, something which I wouldn't want for my kids, and I would probably, or hopefully, do my best to turn them back round once they were flat earthers. So I'd probably pick the flat earther option because I wouldn't want to see them getting into trouble. Our next comment is again from an anonymous person. Will you ever be doing a Simandan meetup? Love the content, keep it up. Thank you for that. I've not really thought about that. Possibly. If I tend to think that there would never be enough interest for something like that. But if there was, then it's possibly something I would do, but maybe a little bit later on this year, early next. And it would probably be somewhere like London as well. Wouldn't be down here on the south coast. London's probably a lot more accessible for a lot of people. So possibly, we'll see. And again, another anonymous question next. What university did you go to and what degree did you do? So from the very start of all this, I've always been honest about this and said that I've not currently got a degree. I went to college twice when I was younger, once at the normal age and once 4 or 5 years after that to get some more A-levels. And I'm currently in the middle of an astronomy and planetary science degree with the Open University. So that's all done from home. So yeah, I've not got a degree, but I'm with the Open University and I'm partway through one. It just takes a long time because I'm so busy with the kids and this and things like that. So it will be a while before I've achieved it, but it's still good to do all the same. Okay, another anonymous question it seems. Cumulative hours working on channel content from beginning to 250k. Oh, that is a tough one. Cumulative hours. So I guess from in the start, I was only doing one video a week. That lasted about a year. I would only spend maybe 4 hours a week doing it. So that's 200 odd hours. And then I ramped up to 2 episodes a week, let's say for another year. So that's probably more like 12 hours a week. So I don't know, somewhere between 8 and 1,000 hours maybe in total. Tough to figure out that one. Next question is from Charlie. Hey up, Simon Dan. What made you want to do YouTube videos, Charlie? What made me want to do them? So I've always been into science, always loved science, and I found out about the flat earth community as well as obviously knowing about other things. Like I already knew that there were people that didn't think we'd gone to the moon and things like that. Didn't know anything about the anti-space people and all the other conspiracies that I've done since, like the mud floods and things like that. Didn't have any clue about that, but I knew there were conspiracies out there. And then I heard about the flat earth one and I was just, I've got to do something about this. I have to try and combat it. And that's when I decided to start writing some scripts. And I think I had about 7 or 8 scripts in the bag before I started filming. And it kind of went from there. Next question comes from a Milos Radokovic, who asks, have you ever managed to convert a flat earther to a normal human being? And was there a time when you had your own doubts of the round earth? Milos Radokovic. Let's see you pronounce this one, Lyman Dan. Milos, I hope I did the name okay. So I've never ever been in doubt about the round earth. And I receive quite a few messages from people who used to be flat earthers but now aren't. In total, since I've started, I've probably got at least 25 of those. At least 25 of those, maybe more. So yeah, it's been reasonably successful on that front. Robert Laguerre up next, who asks, what was your vision or expectations when you first started on YouTube? How has that vision evolved and what expectations do you have going forward? Good question, Bobby. So when I first started, it was all about getting the notion out there that flat earth was a load of rubbish and all the other conspiracy theories as well. And I would have been really happy to get to 1,000 subscribers. That was the big thing for me. Get to 1,000 and see how I go from there. And then obviously everything happened where the gate video took off and I achieved tens of thousands over the weekend of subscribers over a weekend. Then it changed slightly and after that it was about getting to 100,000. I thought that would have been great, and because I really wanted to get the play button, which I achieved. Now my expectations have evolved again, and now I really want to get 1 million. It sounds ridiculous and it sounds really far-fetched, but other channels have done it. I think I can too. That's where I'm heading. And I also want to put out more original scientific content. That's the plan. Another anonymous one up next. How did you come to debunking flat earthers? Before I watched your videos, I barely knew they even existed. Same, as did I barely knew as well. It started off because I watched an episode of a channel called Cosmic Skeptic, and he did a video on flat earthers, and that was the first time I've heard of it properly. And that's kind of what got me like kicking off in terms of building up the channel. And now I'm only about 30 or 40,000 subscribers behind Cosmic Skeptic, which I can't believe. But he was one of the first people I watched in terms of that. And again with an anonymous one. Hi Simon Dan, my questions are important. First one, if I'd eat myself, would I become twice as big or disappear completely? And what is the phobia of chainsaw called? Thank you. No idea what the phobia of chainsaws is called. And the first one, if you ate yourself, would you disappear or double in size? That's sort of a paradoxical question. So I'm going to refrain from answering. And another anonymous one. Do you think humans will ever go back to the moon or visit any other planet? absolutely, I think we'll absolutely go back to the moon. I think that's been on the cards for a long time. Without any doubt, that will happen. And I do think as well that we will, at one time or another, set foot on Mars. I think it will happen. It could be 50 years from now. It could be 20 years from now. It could be 100 years from now. But I think it will happen. There's certainly a lot of companies other than NASA that are putting a lot of money into that. So we'll see. But moon 100%, Mars definitely. And who knows, in 200-300 years, maybe even a moon of Jupiter or Saturn or something like that. We'll see. Another anonymous one here, but there could be a reason why it's anonymous. What do you think is the reason why the flat earth movement seems to be gaining so many followers? Well, I don't know about it gaining so many followers. I think there's a set amount, and then there's people kind of coming in and going out either end. I guess if you're that way inclined to believe in conspiracies, flat earth is a good one because it's got such a rich community of people involved. And it's almost like if you're the kind of person that needs to belong to something and you want to feel like you know something that others don't, it's the perfect conspiracy for that. I think that's why there's quite a few people involved in it, because there's so many of us debunkers out there and we've proven them wrong so many times that any normal thinking rational person would have flipped by now. So there's definitely some underlying reasons, whether that's them being kind of, like I said, predisposed to believing in conspiracies like that, or whether they want to belong to something. Either way, there's something behind the scenes, I think, going on. Nick from Germany with the next question. What is, in your opinion, the most obvious evidence that flat earthers just don't look at, either because they don't want to or they just don't understand? And thank you so much for your show. It's sadly necessary to carry forth the light that's curious and smart people lit. Good question, Nick. I think the one that frustrates me the most is the fact that there are genuinely pictures of Earth, real pictures that cannot be proven to be fake, and they just brush them aside as fake and CGI. That's, I think, the one that gets me the most. There is actually a picture of Earth, and you can see it. There doesn't need to be any more evidence than that. They just refuse to accept that it's real. John from West Virginia with the next question. What astronomy or general space question that we have now would you like answered within the next decade or two? Josh P from West Virginia, US. I think that's got to be something along the lines of the 100% knowing the conditions immediately after the Big Bang, or what the Big Bang was, or what exactly started the Big Bang. I think that's the big one for me. Other than that, knowing exactly what dark matter is and dark energy is a couple of good ones as well. Another anonymous question next. Why don't you support the dinosaur-shaped Earth? It is the only logical one. That it may be, but there is no evidence. So if you want to bring some evidence for dinosaur-shaped Earth, then please be my guest. And another anonymous one. Have you ever run into a flat earther in real life? I haven't, no. It tends to be that down here on the south coast of England, there isn't really anyone of note in terms of a YouTuber that lives down this way. A lot of the flat earthers, for some reason, seem to live up north in England, or the Midlands. There is one guy who lives very close to me, but he's not necessarily a flat earther. He's just a flat earther apologist, if you will. He tends to not like it if some of the globe debunkers get things wrong, which obviously we do, and he likes to correct that. And he's not necessarily a flat earther. He's just a good researcher that's out trying to find the real truth, which is fine. And he has suggested to meet up a couple of times, which I've not taken up on yet, but I might do in the future, who knows. Conlith with the next question, who asks, how annoying is it having to go over the same points to flat earthers while they still deny the globe? Conlith. Yeah, as I said before, it's quite annoying having to go over things all the time, but it's not the end of the world because, like I said, there's many people that won't watch every video, so some people might catch one video and not another. I just want to make everything as accessible as possible. every possible argument that we can come up with. I want that all to be accessible. Even if I have to do it 3 or 4 times each, that's fine, because I want it to be out there, available for the public to use. So, yeah. Richard up next, who says, what did you do before you became a YouTuber, Richard? Before I was a YouTuber, which now is my job, I was a tutor, a private tutor for maths and science. I run my own company. I run my own agency, which supplied tutors to people as well. That was my job, really enjoyed it. But YouTube's taken up more and more of my time gradually, and it is now my full-time job. Anonymous question next. As someone who has watched from the early days, I must know what felt the biggest, 1k, 10k, 50k, 100k, or this 250k? I think it was different perspective on things. So originally the 1k felt huge and I was massively excited about that. And then obviously the surge happened and I went past 10k really quickly. I think the biggest was the 100k, because I thought at the beginning that was completely inaccessible to me. I didn't think I'd be anywhere near 100k. I thought 1k could be achievable and it felt great, but the 100k was absolutely the big one for me, because it came with the play button as well. So I think the biggest for me was 100k. If I get 1 million, which I'm now at the point now where I think that 1 million is inaccessible to me, where before, when I was down on the single digit thousands, I thought 100,000 was not possible. So who knows? We'll see. Reese up next with the next question, and he says, what was the funniest video you have debunked where the flat earther had no clue what they were on about? Reese. A lot of flat earthers have no clue what they're on about. I really enjoyed doing the ones with Thrive and Survive, when I said about him having the mental capacity of an empty Marmite jar. And I don't think he knew what Marmite was. It could be called something different over there. But he ended up calling it Mam or something like that. He really, really doesn't like me, Thrive and Survive. He said things like, all I use is ad hominem attacks, and then he called me stupid straight after that. So yeah, I enjoyed doing those ones. Another one I liked was Flat Out. Not Flat Out, sorry, Flat Out Hero. Is it Flat Out Hero? I can't remember now. He really didn't have a clue about anything, no matter how much you tried to explain. He was the one who did the $100,000 thing with Wolfie. Skin with the next question, who asks, who are your favourite flat earthers and evolution deniers to emasculate? I have a soft spot for Ken Hovind and Mark Sargent. Keep up the good work, from Skin. My favourite ones to emasculate, as you say, are the bigger ones, the ones with the more followers, because if I can prove that they are fallible, that they can be got at, then a lot of their followers hopefully will start to realise that and come to their senses. They're the ones I like doing the most. So your Mark Sargents, your Geronisms, your Eric DeBays, Kent Hovind, for example. So the bigger ones, the more I can get of those, the better I think it is. Next up is Agnes from Sweden. You probably got this question already, but what is the stupidest argument you've heard from a flat earther? I subscribed to your channel a week ago and have already watched half of your videos. I love your channel. Keep up the good work. Kind regards, Agnes from Sweden. The stupidest argument I've heard from a flat earther. Now that is a tough question to answer because there have been so many. I did like that guy who put the compass on the globe and said it should be shooting off to space. That was quite funny. I genuinely can't think. There's been so many. Sleeping Warrior, he makes a lot of gaffes, especially with eclipses. Yes, Sleeping Warrior, thinking that eclipse happens every month. That's a good one. Jeff up next, who asks, how often do you get recognised in public as Simon Dan? Jeff. I've been recognised about 7 or 8 times now, mainly around my local area. I went on holiday last May to a couple of counties away from me. I was recognised there too. So it has happened occasionally, not loads, but occasionally. Our final question comes from long-time subscriber Jay. Have you thought about making a film like Mark Sargent, a counter-argument documentary debunking Flat Earth once and for all? Cheers, Jay, YouTuber JBoneXC, fan since 72 of 100 subs. I haven't thought about that, but it would be a nice thing to do, actually. I've always said that if they ever make that one where, like the documentary of the flat earthers going to find the edge and going to find the edge of the flat earth, I would 100% put my name forward to go with them. I think that would be a brilliant one to make. But no, I haven't. I might do it in the future, who knows? It definitely would be interesting to do something along the same lines of Behind the Curve, but on our side of things, definitely. Right, that wraps up this Q&A special. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate all of you for subscribing, and I think it's fair to say the next big one will be 500,000. That would be unbelievable. Thank you very much again, and I'll see you all on Friday.